Okay, virtue ethics. Here's a review of utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is, here we go, bam. So bright. Utilitarianism is the greatest good for the greatest number of people. It means you must share your cookies. You don't have the freedom to not share your cookies. Bentham gave us act utilitarianism, and Mill gave us rule utilitarianism. Remember those. Virtue. We speak of stupidity, ancient Greeks, and Kant. I will go fast. Pause if you like. The 5 Laws of Stupidity. This was a great article. The important part is that stupid people are people who hurt others and hurt themselves, and intelligent people are people who help others and help themselves. Remember that? The author said that stupid people were actually the worse than bandits who help themselves and hurt other people. And this is because stupid people, while they're hurting themselves and hurting other people, they create more suffering. If you look at utilitarianism, right, they're creating more suffering for themselves and more suffering for others. So the total suffering is worse. Also, we can't make laws that predict what they will want because we don't know what they want. We, being smart people, don't know what they want because they seem to want things that hurt themselves. So we don't know how to stop them from doing stupid things. So they are indeed the most dangerous. So I wondered these things in class, but we're going to move on. What's an example of a virtue? Now, the reason I started with this stupid people thing is that many philosophers will think that intelligence is a virtue, and that intelligence is a virtue that's so powerful that you can use your intelligence to be good, or that even you need intelligence to be good. So in figuring out what is a virtue, the question is, what is the opposite of a virtue? These are vices, and vices are klesha in Buddhism. They're something like a bad habit that you're always engaging in, and one of the easiest ones is greed or hatred or, of course, stupidity. So the Buddha taught that life is suffering, and we suffer because of ignorance. So we suffer because we're stupid, and through training the mind we can stop suffering. The ancient Greeks, of course, agreed with this, and they were doing the same sort of introspection around the same time, not too far away. Socrates died in 399 BCE, which was the Thai year 144. Plato was around just a little bit after that because he was the student of Socrates. They believed that the senses lie and true wisdom comes from reason, panya, right? Aristotle is the virtue thinker of the day. He lived from 348 to 322. He was born Thai year 197. Socrates was the teacher of Plato. Plato ended up as the teacher of Aristotle. He wasn't his main teacher, but he ended up being his teacher for some time. And Aristotle was the main teacher of Alexander the Great. Virtue theory, here we go. So other systems involve rules, like utilitarianism is about the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Libertarianism is trying to create as few rules as possible in order to protect the rights of people and maximize the freedom of individuals. Aristotle says that virtue is more important than rules. If we focus on being good people, the right actions will follow effortlessly. And the other thing he will show is that it's kind of too complicated to make rules that are going to make you be good all the time. You actually have to be good people in order to do the right thing. You can't just follow rules. Okay, so the proper functioning of a human being is what? We are the rational animal. We're also the social animal, right? Here, you can look at that for a second. There it is. So this is Aristotle's golden mean, and this is going to sound very familiar. A virtue lies between vices of excess and deficiency. What does that mean? So what's a virtue? A virtue is a good thing. a vice is a bad thing. Virtue is like a good habit, like Nisai, but it's like one thing that you're doing all the time, and a vice would be one sin that you're constantly doing. Excess means too much, and deficiency means not enough. So what does this mean? A virtue lies between vices of excess and deficiency. Basically, that means a good quality is between bad qualities, and the bad qualities are too much and too little. So this sounds like the middle path, right? So here are some examples that you are welcome to pause on. If you have too much respect, then you're worshiping something you shouldn't be worshiping. And if you have too little respect, then you're being a disrespectful jerk. If you're too kayan, you never see your family. And if you're not kayan enough, then you're just lazy, right? Courage is one that we'll look at now. So courage, someone is getting mugged, what do? There are 13 guys who are fighting one person. Do you go in and try to help and try to do violence to help this person out? What do? Well, it depends on who you are. If somebody's getting mugged, what do? You should know your abilities and your own limitations. You should do what is right. If you are somebody who weighs, 48 kilograms, and there are 13 people trying to fight somebody, maybe you can get help. Maybe you can yell. Maybe you can tell them that you're filming and run away when people try to create problems, try to embarrass these people into stop fighting. But if you are Borkow, you have a different set of responsibilities because you're strong, right? This is like Spider-Man. He says, with great power comes great responsibility. And this is the same with honesty, right? You can be too honest. You can also be not honest enough, of course. So if somebody's on their way for a very important job interview, they look kind of bad, right? They look like, oh man, you just need to go back and change these clothes you're wearing. You look crazy, but that you know that they're going to be late if they change. You just say, you know what, you're going to be great. Just go ahead. You don't need to comment on their appearance. But if somebody has a booger in their nose and they say, do I look good? You say, no man, you can help them with that, right? You could be not honest enough. You could be too honest. This movie had a robot with an honesty setting, and the funny part, I'm not going to show it to you because maybe I'll get flagged, but the funny thing is he says, well, what is the honesty setting you usually use with human beings? And it's definitely not 100% because human beings can't take 100% honesty. What about generosity? Generosity is a very important one. Can you be too generous? Perhaps. You could give away everything that you have and starve. And if you are somebody who has a lot, then it's more important that you be generous. That doesn't mean you have to give everything away, but you should probably be doing something that helps. Or, this is of course up to your own ethical standards. But if you do have more, you have more power to be generous. And if you have more power to be generous, your large generosities are right. And your smaller generosities would be like almost enough. That's up to you. It depends on who you are, and it depends on what is right to you. So, a virtue is a skill that can be learned through experience. We can learn from moral exemplars. Exemplars are people who exemplify moral virtue. They're people, vocabulary word from English, remember? It means that they are an example of it. You watch them live and you think, yeah, you're a good person. I want to be like you. Eudaimonia is a word that nobody is going to know. And it means trying to become the most virtuous, balanced, and ultimately excellent version of yourself. In all these like old Chinese kung fu movies, you always see people who are trying to pursue excellence in all ways, and they're these super kung fu, always doing the right thing, just like amazing human beings. And this eudaimonia idea is an idea of trying to become just a truly excellent person. But it's about being good and having pleasure at the same time, balancing, right? Hedonia, hedonic, hedonism, this all means getting pleasure. You can live the sweet life that has a lot of hedonia, you're feeling a lot of goodness. And then you can have the dry life where you have a lot of purpose, you have a lot of, you're doing a lot of good. Hopefully you don't live this life where you have neither. But the fulfilled life, the best of it, would be where you have pleasure and you have meaning at the same time. I wish that life for you. So let's move on to Immanuel Kant. He was a German philosopher a couple hundred years ago. He lived in Germany and he never left. He said that most ethical theories flow from God. God preloaded us with morality. And Kant was a Christian, but he wanted to make an ethical theory that used reason rather than God so that other people could enjoy this ethical theory as well. He wanted a morality that flowed from logic. Because there are different religions in the world, he wanted to convince all human beings, and he wanted to do that without trying to convert everyone to his particular religion. So he thought morality should be something that every human can agree on. He wanted to be universal. So his idea is called the Categorical Imperative. The Categorical Imperative, right? Now, what does this mean? Categorical and imperative are words that we actually know. Remember, we were talking about how murder is categorically wrong. It's always wrong. So category sometimes is like a genre, metal, rap. In this case, category means always. If something is categorically wrong, it's always wrong. What does imperative mean? If I say, shut the door, I asked you, what is the noun in that sentence? Well, the door is there, but what's the subject? Shut the door. Who should shut the door? You, right? I'm commanding you, shut the door. This is called the imperative tone in English. It's where you are commanding something. So what is the categorical imperative? The categorical imperative is the always command, right? Because categorical means always. You always must do this. And imperative means command. So the categorical imperative is the command that you must always follow, right? Who? Everyone, all the time. Kant was hardcore. So he says that morality is not in the result. Morality is in the action and the intention behind the action. That means what you want to do, what you are trying to make happen, what is in your heart and your mind while you are doing something is what makes good. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if you succeed. It is the way that you try. Is Kant a consequentialist? Consequentialist. What does that mean? Consequentialist. 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 They focus on the consequence, the result, right? That's what a consequentialist is. Is he? No. Morality is not in the result. He is not a consequentialist, famously. He also talked about hypothetical imperatives, right? And they come from desires. Say you want this, so you do this. If you want money, you do work. Categorical imperative is kind of similar to this, but it must be universalizable, which means it must be made in a situation where you can make this true all day, every day, in every single situation. Your moral actions should be universal laws. So for Kant, it's not that you're following rules, it's that your moral action makes the rule. When you do something, you say, this is what you do in this situation. This is the rule. I just made the rule because good is in here, and the thing that I do makes good happen. That's the rule. And how do you test the rule? You ask, what if everybody did this? You get in a situation where you have a friend and you could take advantage of your friend and you could make your life just a little bit better and make that other person's life just a little bit worse. You have that. Nobody's going to know. You're not going to get caught. And you say, no, I'm going to go the high road. I'm going to take care of my friend and I'll take care of myself too. Everything's going to be fine. I'm not going to hurt other people. What if everybody did this? Well, the answer is the world would be amazing. If everybody helped each other, everybody was brilliant and took care of each other, the world would be amazing. So, it's called a maxim. A maxim is like a universal law. And the question is, what is the maxim of my action? What about stealing? What if everybody stole? What about lying? What if everybody lied? Let's start with stealing. Because at some point, everybody did steal. About 20 years ago, Napster came online. And Napster was a website where you could have all of the music that ever existed. And all you have to do is download it. It was the first moment that humanity could do that. The music industry fell apart very soon after that. A lot of careers went pretty badly after that, and it was because a whole culture of people who used to have to pay now realized that they could all steal, and they all did. And the problems that we see with the music industry right now came from the fact that everybody did it. As soon as they could, everybody did it. So what about lying? What if everybody lies? If everybody lies, then language is useless and nobody agrees. Now, this is off topic, but people think about Kant, and then they think about ethics as a whole, and they see systems, and they say that the best person to be in a system, if you want to win, is be in a situation where everyone's following the rules, and you be the one person who's breaking the rules, because then nobody knows that you're doing it. And this is kind of the school of Western business people. If you could just figure out a rule that everybody's following and you are the one who's breaking it, then you end up being the next billionaire. So when must these be followed? They must be followed always. When can you steal? When can you lie? Well, if your action doesn't pass this test of what if everybody did this, then you can't do the action ever. You must never do it. You must never lie. You must never steal. These are some famous things about Kant. Even if others are doing so, even for a good cause. That was from the video. So you must treat other human beings as an end in themselves and never as a means to an end. What is a means to an end? A means to an end is a tool that helps you achieve a goal, an outcome, a result, your true desire. We use objects to achieve goals. What's an example of this? So, if you have a friend who is good at music theory and you have them help you with your music theory test, you might be using them as a not as a tool, but as a means of achieving your outcome. Is that a terrible thing? Well, no, because your friend probably likes teaching. Teaching feels good. It feels good to help people. So if your friend is helping you edit, helping you learn music theory, helping you, fix your guitar or something, that person is probably happy to be helping you. There are other things other than rewards like money. There are better rewards in the world, and some people enjoy those. But it's possible to always be using somebody in a way that helps them too, right? You have to remember that they're a human being and they want things. So if you could be getting what you need and they're getting what they need at the same time, whatever that is, even if it's just the happiness of helping somebody else, then you're in the position that we talked about before where you're an intelligent person. You're helping yourself and you're helping others. And that's where we want to be. So the categorical imperative. Remember these things. Categorically wrong means always wrong. A maxim is a rule that your actions make. For its own sake means to do something, not for some other reason, but just to do it. And music is something like this. You play music for its own sake. You don't always play music for money or fame or something. Sometimes you just play music to play music. A means to an end is the opposite of that. A means to an end is I just play music because I want to get rich or something. I'm only taking this class for a grade. I don't care about the feeling of learning. I just want to get a grade and get out of here. An end in itself is the same thing. That means that you can say that your classes, even though you're just trying to get a grade so that you can get out, you could say that the feeling of being in the class and the learning is fun, and you're just happy to do it. And that's a good way to live. So act only on those maxims, those rules that you can will into universal law. If you can be making good rules every time you're acting in a way that other people should be doing it if they're in the same situation, then it's okay. And you can always ask yourself, if I do this, it's okay, but what if everyone did it? What if everyone did this? What if everyone stole music? How would musicians ever make money if everyone sold music? Well, we're all still figuring that out now. So, there can be no exceptions. So always treat other people as ends in themselves and never as only a means. I must respect your humanity, and I cannot use you as a tool. I cannot use you as an object. You are a person. Now, this is on the test, and it's really fun. This is about the ultimate consequentialist. So, Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber are friends, right? But Taylor Swift is tired of Justin Bieber, and she wants to kill him. So, she decides that she's going to poison his Count-Yum-Wong. But what she doesn't realize is that Justin Bieber is very sick, and he's going to die in a couple months. He doesn't tell her because he just wants them to still have a shiny, happy friendship. But he's dying. And she's thinking, well, I want to kill him. But she doesn't know that he's dying. So she comes up with a plan to kill him, to poison him. So what happens? She puts poison in his Count-Yum-Wong. Justin Bieber eats it. She makes that plan. She thinks about killing him. I'm going to kill Justin Bieber. He's so annoying. I'm going to kill him. So she makes him the poison. But remember, Justin's sick, right? He's sick. He's dying. So she gives him the poison. But when she gives him the poison, something very unexpected happens. The poison makes him healthy. It cures his sickness. And then Justin Bieber is okay. She actually saves his life. And he lives a long and happy life. He writes many, many new songs. He makes many videos, goes on tour. I have to see his face on shirts all the time now because Taylor Swift saved his life. So, if you are a consequentialist, what do you think of this? What was her intention? She wanted to kill him, right? That was her idea. She wanted to kill him. But what was the consequence? It was not expected. The consequence was that she saved him. So according to a consequentialist, was this a good action? She wanted to kill him, but she failed. She actually ended up saving him. According to a consequentialist, this is a good thing. And it's because the consequence, the result, was that he was saved. The result is that in the end, he was okay. His life was saved. Her action, doesn't matter what she wanted, her action produced longer and healthier life for Justin Bieber. So if you're a consequentialist, that's how you think. Now, our guys we were talking about before, Aristotle and Kant, are they consequentialists? The answer is no. So you can see the problem with being a consequentialist here, right? You can have hate and evil in your heart, but a consequentialist will still think, well, whatever, your thing that you did created a good situation, so you're good. You're good because you created good, but you created good accidentally. You're actually just very bad at killing people, and you've done it. You've done a bad job of it, right? So remember that Kant and Aristotle are not consequentialists. They don't give a damn about the outcome. They want somebody to try to be a good person. The intention in the action is everything to these guys. And they think that if you have good in you and you're trying to do good, good is going to happen. You don't need rules. And for Kant, you do need rules, but You just need the one. And the rules are something like treat everybody as a person, not an object. And when you do something, you must remember, what if everybody did this? For Aristotle, it's important to remember to stay in the middle. There may be too much. You may be doing too much and you may be doing too little. You have to stay in the middle. Your middle and someone else's middle are different. So you have to find your middle. You have to find your good. Okay. Freedom.